Everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be changing out the tow hook on the 2018 Mustang because, as always or usual, whenever you change one thing and you've already done something else, sometimes one of those parts will not work with what you got. And when I did the supercharger on the car, we knew that I modified that ZL1 tow hook, and it does not work too good because of the way it had to be mounted. I suppose if you countersunk the holes, that might make a difference, but I never really was crazy about how it was set up, so I got a completely different one now. I have a new lower piece here. It's a used piece because I ended up on the other one drilling and cutting some of these out, so I'm gonna have to cut this one too, but in a different spot. I didn't want holes everywhere, but it's a Vorshlag. I'll spell it on the title, but which you've probably already seen. But it's going to be this style. It's going to be mounted with 4 bolts, not 2, and it's just going to come flat. I'll just have to cut. I might use the old one to see where to cut it, and I can measure the new piece and do the cutout before I install it. I don't know. We'll see. But this is going to be the setup I'm going to use now. So I have to pull the front bumper off again, and this is going to sandwich in between where the bumper and the intercooler bracket. So this is adding another, looks like 1/8 inch or so. So it shouldn't be a problem. The bolts are probably long enough, and I don't think it's just the bumper will be a little bit forward. There should be enough room behind the bumper for that to not change anything looks wise on the outside. So I'm going to take that bumper off. I have another video of me taking this off, so I'm not going to do that again. So we'll get that off and we'll get going on that. This is why I am changing it. As you can see, it bent forward. So that's got to go. The other one's going to sandwich in between here. But yeah, it was, you could see it moving a lot when I was pulling it in, and I was afraid it was going to break off. So that's going. So the bumper's off. The bolts looked okay. I was worried they would be bent from that other thing. So I got to take these 4 bolts out. I'm going to mount that here. I'm going to take the lower out completely, and then I'm going to put the bumper back on so I can see where it goes, and then I will like measure from there. So here I got it mounted. Pretty simple. I put it behind the intercooler bracket. The reason is because if you didn't, this was going to be sitting way more like cocked over. So now I'm going to I got to snap all of these out. So pretty much got to push the blue down so that you can get this piece off. So I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to put this bumper on without it and mark where I need to make the slot for that. All right, when you are not paying attention because you've just been doing too many things and something don't look right a little bit, and you're like, I'll see what I put the thing on upside down. It goes this way. So I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but same thing. And now this is straight, because when I put it on the first time, I'm not even thinking, but it's like pointing off at an angle that way. And I was like, I don't know what the hell that, maybe it'll look right when the bumper's on. Then I go to put the bumper on, I'm like, that thing's way too high. So yeah, so here's the deal. Now I'm going to slide the bumper on. All right, so now I can see where it's coming out. I could just, mark it here and here, and then I can get that other piece and notch that part out. It's so high up that I could go all the way to the top, so I could just cut a little like rectangle out. So we'll get to that. So when I had the bumper on, I used these tabs as a reference. So it was like 3 tabs over, and then this is 3 inches wide. So I cut out a notch, 3 tabs over on this end and 3 inches that way. I just went a little bit over because you're gonna have to try to get the bumper on too while you're, hooking it in. So that should be that should be it. So I'm gonna pop this in and we'll see how it lines up. So to my surprise, it actually is just about perfect. I'm gonna leave it, it's fine. But yeah, so that worked out using that tab as a reference. And I just did a little bit over 3 inches on the total, so like maybe an 1/8 inch on each side. So you have a little bit of clearance to get it on. But that's it. So now I just got to button this bumper up. But this is, oh my God, so much more solid. The other one was wobbling all over the place. So it's all buttoned up. Everything's back where it's supposed to be. And this is fitting perfectly fine. So you just got a little bit of gap underneath. But you know, once you get back here, you can't see anything. So I'm gonna call it good. So here it is looking from above. So like I said, if there's an imperfection at all in that cut that I made, you're not gonna notice it. But that is gonna make me feel way better than the setup I had before. All right, so I just want to clarify that there was nothing really wrong with the ZL1 tow hook. I didn't really like the way it was set up, but I really was at the time the only one I found, and so I went with it. But if you get the G3 intercooler, you will not have to do this. You could leave the tow hook where it's at. You don't have to modify anything. But if you do go with the G4, that is the problem why I had to shrink it in and get it away from the intercooler. So if you don't have that problem with the intercooler, then you don't need to change it out if you already have a ZL1. But if you're looking to get a G3 and get the bigger intercooler that's going to have interference, you're going to want to move it. I tried cutting it down. Now that's the problem. There's nuts that are welded in there, and on the original ZL1 bracket, they like recess cut it so that the bracket sits deeper on to the welded nuts, and it's actually contacting the frame. So that way it has less tendency to flex. Well, because I was on the nuts instead of having it recessed, it was farther back, it had room to flex. So, and it actually kind of made it a little loose. So I had a feeling, I'm glad the bolts didn't get damaged, because I was worried that by pulling on it, that the bolts that were sticking through were going to curve around, because it was getting pulled by the bracket, but it didn't. The bolts were fine. So now this plate's sandwiched between the bumper and the frame of the car. So, and it's held with 4 bolts. So there's no way it's going to move now, and there's no modifications done to it. So I think this setup would flex less in general, but I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the other one. It's just that for this intercooler, that's what you're going to need. So hope this helps anybody thinking about getting an intercooler that's the larger size, or looking to get the right tow hook for your application, because this is perfectly fine now. And actually, the way it's, the only thing about it is you can't remove it, because it's just a flat, steel sticking out of there. There's no threaded bar, but that's fine. The other one was on there all the time anyway. But yeah, I was just worried it was just gonna like pop off, and then the car goes sailing out the back of it, the back of the trailer, into someone else's car or into something else at my house, whatever. But so that's all taken care of. So please hit that like and subscribe button, and we will catch you on the next one.